What is happening, everybody? Welcome to Sitting with Sean, episode number 34. Man, dude, we got 34 episodes of Sitting with Sean. This is insane. This is crazy, my dude. But today, we have a very special guest, Andrew Walker. He is from Fort Smith, Arkansas. How you doing, Andrew?
I am good.
Nice. And for everybody watching, I'm letting you know that this is live on TikTok, Twitter, and on YouTube. And I just want to thank you, Andrew, for taking a second, hanging out with me, and sharing your story, man. I'm really excited about it.
Yeah. Excited for that.
Yeah. So I met Andrew on TikTok about a week ago, man, and I seen everything that he's been doing, and it really inspires me. It really does. I haven't told you that, man, but you're very inspirational, And so I hit up Andrew and I said, man, I'd love to hear your story. I'd love to hear everybody's story that's in recovery because we have a voice that needs to be heard. And so today we're going to hear Andrew's story. But before we get into it, Andrew, you're a co-founder of Rocktober, man. Tell me about that. Rockcovery, Rocktober.
So Rockcovery is it's a thing on TikTok where me and Tim out of recovery, we got together. We were like, it would be really cool, man, is if we produce music that helped us through our addiction, also through our recovery and health. And so we just started video. We started in 2020. We decided that, hey, go ahead and start it back up. Every
Nice, man. So I know music has helped me out and inspired me in my recovery, and I shared a little bit about that with you prior to us doing this. But what are some of the songs or some of the artists or musicians that's really helped you out along the way?
So some of the out is he's pretty hated, but he actually has a real powerful voice, and he's looking at it as well. He made an album. One of his songs called Diamonds. But what he talks about is, I think the biggest lyric that really means something to me was, he was like, "It's not in the fall, we preach it all." Still in my recovery.
Yeah. You said Ronnie Radke. You broke up a little bit. You said Ronnie Radke.
Craig.
Oh, Ronnie Craig. Okay, gotcha. Yeah. That's amazing, dude.
Yeah.
That's
really good.
That's awesome. So where do you see Rockcovery going from here, man?
Man, honestly, I hope that other addicts start getting involved with it. And really, man, I want to see the recovery community grow. Whether it's Rockcovery or not, I want to see the recovery program grow, man. We're losing so many addicts out there right now. Fentanyl, we just lost a month, and some people just don't understand what addiction is. They don't understand that it's something that's really difficult to get out of. It's not just, okay, I quit. It's a process, because my addiction wasn't drugs. My addiction was me. Drugs was just a solution that I used at that time that was unhealthy. So that's what I felt like. The real problem was I didn't know how to deal with life from hurt.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I agree, man. I want to see the recovery community be at all time high, man. We've seen small movements in history here and there. Going from peer support, to the NA movement, AA movement, and everything in between. But we haven't really seen a prosperous, growing recovery community that kind of uh, fuels himself, and provides for themselves and is able to carry forward. So I think what you're doing with Rockcovery, dude, is awesome.
Well, another thing is that, we don't judge other formats of recovery because there's so many out there, and different ones work for different people. I work a 12-step program. That's what I do. It works for my fiance program that works for her, and what works for her might work for what works for my so I have to be understanding to accept that, and not judge other people for recovery. Because I know when I was thinking, I was a real life piece of shit.
Yeah.
know? So, it don't really give me a right to judge because I was a low with the low.
Yeah. I think we all were, man. And, you're absolutely right. When I got into recovery, man, I thought it was all 12 step, right? It was all 12 step, like nothing else. And I had all these preconceived ideas and thoughts, if you want to will, biased about like what other recovery looked like. I had a formulated opinion about MAT. I've had formulated opinions about everything else. And when I really started diving into what recovery is, not what I think recovery is, but what recovery is, I was really able to open my eyes and get some stories from other people. I had, my experience with MAT. I thought I was like, oh, not, it's not a form of recovery. And then one of my best friends opened up and said, hey, I'm a recovering alcoholic, and I use MAT. And I was like, blown away, absolutely blown away. And so that really helped open up my eyes and see that that what I look at as recovery isn't what recovery is. Recovery is everything, and so yeah. Thanks for pointing that out, man. I really do appreciate that.
I used to be so close-minded about it too, so yeah. I could relate. I thought it was NA or no way.
Yeah,
and, I learned differently.
Yeah, and it's crazy because there's like 19 pathways to recovery that are recognized, and more. There's more growing every single day.
Yeah.
And it's astonishing, some of the things that we see, and so I'm eternally blessed to be a part of this, this recovery community. It's something very beautiful.
It is. It's very beautiful.
Yeah. The one thing that I do enjoy about, being about in the recovery community, I don't know if you feel the same way, is like seeing people say, I need help. Mm-hmm. That is my most favorite thing about this.
It is so funny that you I have a really good friend of mine, and man, struggling, and he didn't understand, just like I didn't understand what the time was going on when I realized. But he didn't quite understand, and he couldn't grasp. He called me today, and he's like, you could hear it in his voice. He's like, ready. I'm done. I need help. Ready. And so, talk to the Boss Recovery. We're gonna do our best here and get him the help that he needs. So it's really crazy you mentioned because that's what happened today.
That's awesome, man. It's good that your friend that he contacted you, man, and he had that you have that rapport with him, and you've helped build that faith basis with him for him to say, hey, man, I need help and I don't know where to turn, and you were the person that he turned to. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was like one of them moments where you're just like, you want to cry, but you're in a car with your significant other, and you don't want to seem like a little bitch.
You got to be a man.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to cuss it down a little bit. uncles in here, and that's one thing that I respect others.
Yep.
So I'll try to respect that.
So we'll go ahead and adjust some of these comments. I'll pop them up on the screen. Nick says, "We
There
love
he
you,
is,
Andrew."
right there. That's him.
Wilma said, "Proud of you, grandson. I love you."
That's my nana. Yeah.
Nick says, "Coming in broken. Hard to hear you."
All right, can y'all hear me? Is that
Yeah.
better? Okay.
Nick says, "I'm 8 years sober myself." Dude,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Yeah. Actually, I mean, my uncle Nick's gonna be in my story, so we'll get
That's
to that.
that's awesome. And he says, "I'm proud of you, Andrew." And his significant other. She says, "I'm proud of you, my love." That's awesome. That's awesome. And thank you guys for their participation. We're going to take moments where we stop and we address some of the comments, because I do appreciate you guys commenting and giving him encouragement because, he's a very amazing human being, and sometimes we're a little bit harder on ourselves than we need to be.
Yeah.
So that encouragement is necessary. So, are you ready to get into it?
Let's get into it.
All right, man.
All right.
What was it like in your active addiction for you?
Actually, my addiction started whenever my dad, he passed away when I was 16 of an overdose, and intoxication to cocaine is what the death certificate said. And I didn't know. I didn't know at the time. You know, it was one of them things that, I mean, I dabbled in weed a little bit, but drugs just really wasn't my thing until then. It was skating and music. I was either at the skate park or at my buddy's house playing the drums. But when he passed away, it was like half of me died with him. I really loved my dad, and I felt betrayed. I felt like he just left me, and so I used that as a way to escape. I started using drugs. I started off with pills. It all started with pills, and weed and alcohol. And man, it got to the point where that just wasn't enough. Then became self harm. Then it was, getting put in Bridgeway for attempted suicide for until I was 18.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to explain the misery because the only thing that I wanted to feel was numb. To the point where I would steal from my nana. Uh, I would steal from my papa. I would steal from my mom. Uh, I'd really steal from anybody, to be
Yeah.
honest with you. And the further I got into my addiction, I met more wrong people that introduced me to harder substances. The next thing you know, I'm putting it in a needle and I'm putting it in my skin, and that was an addiction in itself. And I couldn't stop. I went to jail I went to jail a lot. And it never did stop me though. Nothing could stop me from using because I was not willing to stop myself. I played victim. I played, oh, well, it was my dad's fault. He left me. Oh, it was, my mom's fault because she didn't raise me how I saw fit. It was my grandma's fault. It was my nana's fault because, you know, uh, nobody was ever there for me. And the truth of it is they tried their best with what they knew they could do. And my mom, I got so mad at her one day, and it's probably one of the biggest regrets that I have. I know we're not supposed to, but I regret saying it. I told my mom, I said, I wish it was you. in that casket, not him. And I can't imagine how that would make my mom feel. And these are the things that I get to think about today. You know, these are the things that, you know, I can work steps on about, you know, and I can't imagine how that made my mom feel. You know, no wonder she didn't want me around. You know, I was using and I was destructive. You know, and my childhood wasn't the greatest. You know, but my mom did the best she could. My dad was divorced. My stepdad was an addict. You know, I was molested by one of his nephews as a kid. You know, and scared to tell anybody about it. You know, I mean, how do you deal with that? You know, that's how I felt. And life was just it was rough, man. It was rough growing up, and now I can look at it. I understand my mom did the best she could because all she did was work. You know,
Yeah.
she worked, and me and my mom are so much alike. We argue and bicker and fight a lot because we're just alike. She's not an addict, but I mean, as personality, just alike. You know, I had a great relationship with my dad. You know, and then further down, like 20, I tried to get help. I went to a faith-based rehab, and I was playing church there. Uh, I had that wild hair in my head. Like, all right, I'm done with this. It's time to leave. Uh, so I left, and I went right back, dude. It did not take 10 days before I was already running gun. You know, and then my uncle he took me in Shreveport, and you know I would sneak next door and I'd go smoke some cocaine with them and smoke a lot of weed. And, you know, I mean, finally they had enough of it. You know, they're like, you got to go. He's like, you got to go. My uncle, he is not an enabler. You know, he's also a vet, so you know he don't take no shit.
Yeah.
You know, also thank you for your service.
Thank you for your support.
Yeah. So a little bit later down the line. Actually, I'm on backtrack. So when I was 18, I went to go pick up my stepbrother, and I saw a dude get killed over, you know, dope. You know, and that fucked me up a little bit, a lot of it, because it was like, so I looked, and the guy was laying on the ground, but his little 8-year-old son was sitting there crying over his dad's body, and there's nothing nobody can do. And I know it sounds selfish, but you know, I saw myself in that kid, like you know, like this dude's dad's about to get taken away, man. Like this is gonna mess him up, and I'm pretty sure it did. You know, I don't know how he turned out, but I hope he turned out better than what I did. You know, but the thing of it is man, is it all started out as fun. You know, I'd go get high, take some pills with some friends, we'd go to parties, we'd be drinking 211 Steel Reserve, you know, the fucking nasty shit. And man, it was fun until it wasn't. Because when everybody else stopped, I couldn't. They could party all weekend, but I had to party every day, and I had to
Yeah.
party alone, and I was miserable.
Hey, you're breaking up, brother.
Oh, am I?
Yeah, you're good now.
All right, cool. Yeah, and so you know, in 2000, what was it? 2018, I got my felony. You know, they had me for delivery of controlled substance, but they couldn't prove it. You know, they wiped it down to a possession charge. And you think having that 4 years probation over my head because they did the First Offenders Act on me, you know, you think that would make me stop, and it didn't. You know, and my probation officer wasn't willing to let me go to treatment. And then my mom, she showed up to the probation with me, and she pretty much cussed her out. She's like, "Look, he needs treatment. He's asking for it, and you're denying him. If if not this, like put him in jail or something. Send him somewhere where he's going to be safe." Uh, they wound up sending me to treatment. In 2019, I got clean. My first clean date was February 5th, 2019. And I stayed clean for 18 months. Well, nope, 21 months. I went 21 months clean before I went back out. And in that time period, man, I showed up to recovery. I showed up to the meetings, but it wasn't for recovery. It was because I was starting to look good and the women were looking good,
Yeah.
and I was healthy, so I looked decent. And I started going for the wrong reasons until this old school, this one of my predecessors. I call her my mom. I call her my other mama. It's Clara. She's like, "Here's what I want you to do. I want you to do this assignment on sex and relationships in recovery, and we're going to talk about it." And man, it scared me because she's like one of them really respected women in the program. And you know what? I was able to look at the part. I was able to see, well, why am I chasing this? And the thing of it is I had this God-sized hole in my heart that I was filling it with other things other than a higher power. And and I did so well. I worked the steps, thought I graduated. I thought, yeah, I completed NA,
Yeah.
and and I got this mom, Gary, who's best, and we worked some steps, but the thing of it is we kept trying, and I kept trying and trying, and I would get a little bit more clean time after I relapsed, but I would always go back out, and I was suffering mental health, and I never did seek treatment for it, because I have type 1 bipolar and PTSD and generalized anxiety disorder. I don't have the anxiety disorder as much now, but I finally got on some medications and I was doing good. But you know how it is when you first get on medications, you got to figure out what's right and what's
Yeah.
not.
Mm-hmm.
And that man was so patient with me during that time. He'd offer me a couch to sleep on, and I was in and out of Kiln Freeze. I was selling mushrooms out of Kiln Freeze. I thought that was okay because hey, it's not a hard narcotic. So I started justifying on why I could do it. And he we worked at. He showed me the 12 steps. It's like most amazing way. He's like, he filled this cup up, and he's like, this is when you have a lot of recovery. You can't fill it up no more. Then he poured the cup out, empty, and he's like, this is what happens when you don't. And he put it under the water faucet, and he goes, this is recovery. It goes in and out. What you get, you give back. And I battled so long, man, and the thing that was really wrong was I was spiritually bankrupt. I didn't pray. I didn't have God, and it kept leading me back out because of it. I wasn't willing to surrender to a disease that's more powerful than me. I wasn't willing to surrender to God, who could put my life back in order. I went to detox in February, but my last relapse, man, I was driving around Hot Springs. Nobody wanted to talk to me. Nobody wanted me over. All the people in the program have pretty much just, like me to stay away. Clara, she called me up. She said, hey, come over to the house. I didn't know they were setting me up, but they did. in a good way. In a good way. And they did this very, very, very organized. This is a very organized thing. Like they had this thing planned out. And you know, my uncle Nick calls me. He's like, "Why are you doing this stuff? You know, your dad's gone." I'm like, "Dad got," and like talking to you last night. It made me mad. But there was a lot of truth in that. I think that's why it made me mad because I don't have anybody else on my dad's side other than my uncle.
Yeah.
So I get over to Clara's and takes my keys, and then here comes my Uncle Nick all the way from Shreveport. Blocks my car in where I can't get out. I can't go nowhere. And he's like, "Look, you're going to Shreveport, or I'm gonna whoop your butt." Period. Well, not Shreveport. You're going to treatment. You know, in Texarkana. And you know, I remember crying to Clara. And this is where I had my awakening. It was just like, you know, shoot me in the face because I can't stop. You know, I wish she would just end it because I can't stop. I'm at that point where I finally understand what it's like to truly not be able to stop. You know, so I was in bed that night. I was in bed and I was praying. And I was like, "God, if you're real and if you're up there, man, I need you to help me stay clean. I need you to control this because, you know, I can't." And this was like right after my grandfather passed away. So it was rough, you know. It was rough for my uncle as well. And, so we get to treatment, and the treatment wouldn't accept me because I needed to go through detox. So he drove me another 2 hours to go to detox. And man, it was in detox where they kept feeding me methadone, and I was like, "Look, like I don't want no more. Like, I'm done. I don't want any kind of substance. Like if I'm gonna do this, I want to feel every bit of it." And you know, they wrote me down as rejecting treatment, rejecting medicine. So I had to get to that. So, you know how that goes. It's like, hey, you got to do this. You got to go. But I went to treatment, and it was like a Narcotics Anonymous jail because everybody there was, you know, they worked the program, they were sponsors, they knew what to do, they knew the ins and outs. And, I'd like to say that they were easy on me, but I feel like they were hardest on me, you know, because they knew me.
Yeah.
And you know, I used to love being baby and coddled until it almost killed me. You know, you baby the addict, you bury the addict. And so, I mean, that's what it was like. It was miserable. You know, in and out of treatment, in and out of jail, in and out of hospitals, overdosing and dying. You know, it's a life that I wish no one would have to go through.
Yeah. Yeah. First off, I want to say I'm sorry for the loss of your father and your grandfather. That's terrible, and I can't imagine what you went through. I haven't had that unfortunate event happen yet, and I'm pretty sure at some point when it does happen, it's gonna rock the shit out of me. And sorry for my language, guys, but you know, I'm sorry for your loss. And second off, you hit on something real big, and you said it at the beginning of your story. You said it was fun until it wasn't. Dude, I can't tell you how many times people have been like, "Oh, you must have hated it when you were drinking." No, I had a blast. That's why like, okay, so I always share this because I do you know, presentations for people that are first time DUI offenders in the state of Alaska, and I say, you know, I'm addicted. I was addicted to alcohol, but I was more addicted to doing dumb shit while I was intoxicated. You know, like getting a DUI just wasn't it. You know, I was addicted to doing the dumb shit and making myself the center of attention, the center of the room.
Yeah.
And that's not a lifestyle to live, because once you start doing it, then that addiction, you can never feed it enough because there's more dumb shit you can do. I mean, look at Jackass. They have it down to a T.
They do.
But yeah, but it was fun until you were like, I was ruining people's lives and I didn't realize it. You know what I mean? Like, I was fucking people's lives up left and right, and I didn't even realize it until I saw the devastation that I had created. And so I really want to thank you for pointing that out.
Another thing to point on that is there were times when I could see me doing it, destroying people's lives, but not caring because it wasn't about them. It was all about me. This happened in my life, so you got to fix it.
Yeah.
The victim mentality. I have worked through it. I have worked through my dad's grief. I'm a whole lot better now. And one of the coolest things about being an addict is I understand what my dad was, and it took me so long to understand. And I'm not sad. I'm not sad about it anymore. It is what it is.
Yeah.
It happened. It was going to happen. And we had our discussion last night. You were like, that was something that I never wanted to be. I didn't want to be like that. I didn't want to be like that either. I didn't want to grow up to be an addict.
Yeah.
I wanted to grow up and make a positive impact on people. And I can. I had to take a different route.
Yeah, I don't think any addict or alcoholic wakes up and says, oh, I think today's a good day to get addicted to a substance. You know what I mean? Like, I choose you, like Pokemon, right? Like,
Yeah, exactly.
and that's what I have to explain to people when they don't understand the concept of addiction. They're like, oh, it's a choice. Yeah, well, I didn't choose to wake up this morning and say, alcohol is going to kick my ass for 10, 12 years. I mean, who does that? Who wakes up and says, "Hey, man, I think today I'm gonna get fucked up, and it's gonna take over my life for the next 10, 12 years." You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't make sense.
And we talked about that last night. It's a disease, and it's I believe it's I believe it can be taken. And
Yeah.
I also put into perspective that being raised around it. I was gonna become an addict.
Yeah.
Because
Go ahead.
And I was it was more I was addicted to chaos and than I was anything. My life, it was me. And I looked that way for a long time. And when I relapsed again, I got back to that mindset.
Absolutely.
And today I don't have to do that. I can okay, what's my part in it? Okay, I wronged you.
Hey, you're breaking up a little bit, brother.
All right, how about now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. We're good. But yeah, man, technology, it's our greatest asset, but our worst enemy at times. But yeah, you also hit on something, and we talked about a little bit about it last night. Is holistic recovery, right? Not just not just treating the substance, but treating the mental health portion of it too. And you said you had a lot of untreated mental health disorders. Like, how much did that contribute into your addiction, do you think?
It's funny because one of my sponsor I had before me, he pointed something out. He goes, Andrew, you get into the manic episode, and whenever you get what you want, you go and get a substance. And I think it had a lot to do. I also think that drugs cause mental health. Especially with my bipolar. Bipolar people do not pick up effort.
Yeah. Yeah. So I know for me, like, I always said, I think I shared this last night. I was a very angry person, so I drank out of anger. A lot of times, I drink out of anger, and that was my go-to. But the thing is the anger was a fuel for my addiction, right? So it was that fuel for the furnace that I needed to get my fire going. And until I was able to douse that fire out, it just kept burning. And it didn't matter if I had sober time where I was not working a program. I was still angry as shit at everybody and everything. I hated, like, I hated people for the sake of hating them. Like, Andrew, I would have hated you because you wear glasses. Right? And you got neck tattoos and I don't. Like, right? It's bullshit. But I was addicted to the anger, and I was addicted to that dopamine that I was getting from the anger. Therefore, I was like, I'm angry and I need to drink. It's gonna calm me down, but it really fueled that. And also, there's like this, and it's weird when you said about you feel like the mental health disorder or the addiction helped fuel that mental health disorder. There's this thing, a model that I thought up in my brain, and it's probably floating around there somewhere. I cannot have made this up. I couldn't have made this up. But you got a mental health crisis, right? And then it leads into addiction, and then you got that next mental health crisis, and it's just that vicious circle of mental health crises and addictions. And then until something either dramatic changes or there's an intervention in your case, you're still going to get stuck in that circle.
Yeah, I was stuck in that circle. It was like, well, if my addiction don't take me out, my mental health is gone.
Yeah.
I think, well, me, one of the reasons why I used a lot.
Hey, you're breaking up, brother. Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. But I feel like one of the reasons why.
You're breaking up again. Apple. Okay. All right. No worries. No worries. Yeah, it's better.
All right. But I feel like one of the reasons why that I used, man, was because that's how I felt like on the inside. I felt so disgusted and so unworthy that I feel.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. We're going to go ahead and jump to some comments. All right. Summer says, "That's my baby uncle. I love you. Go, baby boy." All right. And then Nick says, "You're doing great." And then he says, "Whoa." Right.
Yeah, he's also a veteran.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Nice to meet you, Nick. And thank you for being here. I appreciate you. And Nick says, "Love you." Nick Nealhouse says, "Love you, Andrew. You're doing great, bro." And then, God has you now. He's talking about when he cornered you in and pretty much told you, "Hey, get in the car. Get in the car."
Right. I'm gonna make you listen to it, right?
Yeah, he told you preach it. And Wilma said that you're breaking up. We got that. All right. And then Nick says you finally got it. He's proud of you.
A lot.
Okay. Wilma said sit closer. Can't hear you. And Charlotte says love you. And I'm always here for you. Tough love rocks.
Hey, it takes sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're gonna go ahead and jump into what it was like when you got into rehab that last time after your last relapse. What was it like for you at that time? Like, I know you said you felt like they were a little bit easy, but then hard on you. But what was it like? What were some of the things that you learned while you were in there that kind of changed the way that you looked at things?
Um, Really, to be honest with you, with everything that I was missing, I got in there, and one of the things that really helped me was I had to write a letter to my dad. I had to write a letter to my mom. I had to write a letter to my mom. But I think that I learned that
Say again, you broke up a little bit.
about
Technology, man. Yeah, you're good. Hey, look, man, it's all good. It's all good because normally I'm the one breaking up because Alaska internet.
Yeah,
It's all good.
so one of the biggest things that I learned though was you. It was said so much. I just couldn't grasp it. Go through this, but you don't have to go through it.
Yeah.
You know, and one through it.
Yeah.
So, that was one of the big.
What do you feel was the most beneficial part of your early recovery?
90 days.
Yeah, I hear that a lot. I hear people saying that a lot.
I mean, it was, man. It helped me form a habit.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
helped me. Uh, uh,
Hey, you're breaking up.
okay. All right, how about that?
Good. Good. Oh. Might have lost him. He'll be back. We got time. We can hang out. It's all good. But yeah, I want to take a minute and thank everybody in the comments for being here and as a support for him. I really do appreciate it. From alcoholic and somebody that's in recovery and that's been doing this for a while. Oh, here we go. All right.
Is that better?
Yeah, that's better.
Yeah, I turned off my Wi-Fi.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, so 90 meetings, 90 days, and also probably one of the biggest ones that I really lacked was prayers.
Yeah. Nick says I was hard on him because I love him. I took a moment while you were situating things to thank everybody for being here. Wilma says, get the cigarette out of your mouth. It's all good. It doesn't matter. It's okay. I dip. I don't have one in right now. But anyways, I know for me in my early recovery, have you ever heard of MRT?
Yeah.
More reconation therapy?
No, I thought you were talking about.
Man, that class, it's a 12-step, and on the back end you got 4 weeks of mentorship. And they always say step one's the hardest, and this, I've never been in a program that rocked me and punched me in the gut. And then on the back end, I loved it. Essentially, step one, you have to draw out. It's a pyramid, and you have to draw out, current, 1 year, 5 year, 10 year, 20 year, going back. What you did wrong, 1, 2, 3 things you did wrong, and then what could have happened or what could have been, had it not been for what you did. And that rocked me so hard because I have never. There's things I shared in that group that I'd never talked about before. I never told anybody. That was like my secret. And it helped me to get rid of that bag of secrets. And systematically through time, it took me from realizing that I thought I was a shitty person for the decisions that I made and things that I did in my addiction, to realizing that I'm a human being, I make mistakes, but I have to fix my mistakes. And dude, On the back end, I was like, I love this course. I love it. I would never give it up for the world. So for me, that's what it was for me. Um, what about? I know you said it set a routine for the 90 days, 90 meetings. But what about that? Was it were you going to the same meeting every night, or were you going to other meetings in your area? What was it like?
So I was taught early in my recovery to visit various groups. So that's what I did, man. I went every time a meeting was open. I was there. Like I think for the first 30 days, and like I got out, I was
Nice.
open. I was open.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Um, I know when I started my recovery, I was like, I was like you said, I was in like 3 meetings a goddamn day. It felt like I was like meeting, appointment, meeting, appointment, meeting, eating, going to bed. Um, so also in that time when you were in rehab, you said that you were working on your mental health. Um, how was that difficult for you?
Um, having been off medication for a minute, um, yeah, very difficult. I was super more emotional on drugs.
Yeah.
Or, and
Yeah.
like back on my med. Uh, I had really bad and
Yeah.
helped me with psychiatry. That not no, he was like, look, what happened? Like, what?
Yeah.
Like, where you're at? And literally look around the like, what's over there? What's over there? Like, something about
Yeah.
because
Oh, absolutely.
some front one predecessor like front have collapsed. Got into recovery.
Yeah. Hey, scoot up a little bit because you keep every time you go back, it breaks up. But no, you're absolutely right, man. It's that cycle of coming back, and having to keep doing it again. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Was it hard to talk about your feelings and your emotions? Like I know you said you were more emotional than you normally were.
I think
Was
the
it hard to
hardest
talk about those feelings and emotions?
it was because I didn't know what I was feeling. You know, I did.
You broke up. You broke up. It's
Is
okay.
it working?
Okay. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Yes,
All right.
we're good.
Yeah, yeah. It was really hard because I didn't know what I was.
Yeah.
It was hard to identify what I was feeling. I
Yeah.
was numbing for so long.
Yeah. 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 I completely understand. It's not, especially in early recovery, because it's hard to identify. Like I told you last night, it's hard. It was hard for me to identify like why I was angry all the time. Like I just wasn't angry, but why was I angry? Like what was it that was really bothering me that made me angry? So I can completely understand. Um. So what are you doing now to maintain your program? What does your recovery look like now for you?
All right, am I choppy?
No, no, you're good.
All right. My recovery is not easy. That's what it looks like. It is daily maintenance. It's waking up and saying, "Okay, God, you're going to have to control today because I can't."
Yeah.
What I had to do is I had to turn my life over,
Yeah.
and I had to surrender you know what? I'm powerless over drugs and alcohol because I have allergic reaction when I choose. I break out in handcuffs.
Break out the handcuffs. I like it.
Yeah.
I've never heard that before. That's genius. That's
What?
awesome. No, I've
Man,
never
they
heard it.
share. It is. It is. Man, that's they say that all the time here. That's where I heard. You know,
Nice.
and it talks about it in the literature. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
you
That's
need a book,
awesome.
man. I'll do a basic text.
Dude, I will take a book. I'd love to read it. I'll add it to my list.
Dude, it is such a good. You know, I think one thing that really helped me is because I'm a part of this faith based recovery, and man, I woke up today and Jamie was like, "Hey, man, come outside and read with me a little bit," and we were reading out of this like. I don't even know what it is, man. Called Freedom in Christ. And we started reading it, and it was just like it was a good day. It was a good way to start off the day
That's awesome.
for me because that's mine.
Yeah.
I understand other people have different higher powers, and it took me a while to actually get to where this was my, God was my power. Because at first it was the rooms, and then it was a tree,
Yeah.
and then and it grew, because I had the biggest resentment against God. I had the big, and I hated religion. I hated church, and in my recovery, I learned that, hey, that's my personal relationship with God. It ain't religious, that's my relationship,
Yep.
so I
Yeah.
treat it very.
Yeah. I know a lot. I know some things that one of the things that deters people from entering into 12-step programs is the whole religion thing, or they the God thing. That's what everybody says. They say it's the God thing. Man, you don't have to believe in God to be in a 12-step program. You just got to believe
No,
in something.
exactly, exactly. It turns out that you start believing, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
uh,
You know,
and that's the big thing about it is because it's on spirituality, not on religion, not
yeah.
on it's all spirit.
Yeah.
That's what I love about it.
Yeah, absolutely. That was my thing is when I first got in the rooms, like, they would, it was always the Serenity Prayer. And I would never say the Serenity Prayer because I'm Norse pagan. I believe in Odin. But the thing is it has nothing to do, right? That prayer has nothing to do with with what is said in the text. It has everything to do with how it impacts my life and what it does for me, right? So the words are just words until there's meaning put behind them, and that's what I had to come to realize when I got into the rooms was that, like, yeah, man, this whole God thing, I'll figure it out. It'll come to me. And Brendan, he's a buddy of mine from TikTok. He says, "Hey, bro," talking to the both of us. He was a guest. He was a guest on here a few months ago, and so it's good to see him here. Nick says, "We're proud of you. We're always here for you." And he says, "You got this." So, before we jump off here, and before we uh, we end the live, what advice or suggestion would you give to an addict that is still suffering, or in early recovery that needs that has to take that next step? What would you offer them?
All right, can you hear me good?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. One thing that I would suggest is to make up your mind, um, and not be hard on yourself. Don't beat yourself up. Like, the past is over; it's done. You know, and try and learn how to forgive yourself. I think that's one of the hardest things that was the most difficult is I beat myself up for all the things that I did, and I wasn't easy on myself.
Yeah.
And find something that works for you. If it's not NA, if it's not AA, find something that works and go with it.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, Andrew, I can hear you. I want to take a moment and I want to say thank you for being vulnerable. And thank you for sharing with me.
Choppy.
A little bit. Okay. I want to take a moment. I want to say thank you for being vulnerable with us and talking about some of these things. It's not easy. I know that. And I want to take a moment and say thank you for being an inspiration to everybody. To me, like, I can't speak for everybody, but I can say for me, thank you for inspiring me, because you have. And you inspire a lot of people around the world, even if they're not going to reach out and say it, you do. And you help change people. Oh no, we lost him. Well, when he comes back, I'll finish what I had to say. But yeah, I want to. Oh no, I think we lost him. Oh, he's back. He's back. Hey.
I have no idea what happened. It was so choppy.
Yeah. Okay, so I want to say thank you for being an inspiration, and thank you for being the standard that people will follow, because you are.
I want to thank you for your recovery. I want to thank you for sharing your experience, for opening up. I also want to thank you for what you did for our country as well. Thank you for serving.
Thank you, brother. I do appreciate it.
It's because of you that we have the freedom that we have.
Thank you. Thank you. I thank you for your support, man. I really do appreciate you. And if shit gets heavy sometimes and you feel like you don't have nobody to talk to, which I know you got a ton of people, just know you got me too.
Hey, the same goes. If you're struggling, if you feel like picking up a bottle, man, give me a call. Call me before you use.
I can tell you, man, there's nothing in this world that's going to make me pick up.
Good.
Because,
hot, man. Call. Even if it's
thank
just
you.
I'll be there.
Absolutely. And for everybody that watched, and for everybody that is going to watch, and Nick, thank you for being here. I really do appreciate it. And I really appreciate everything that everybody is doing for us and supporting us.
Yeah, we know it ain't easy.
And Charlotte, I support people entirely. It's what I do and what I've done for a long time, and it's something that I enjoy to do. Oh shoot, can't see it. Anyways, I was like, yeah. Anyways, and Nick said thank you, Sean. I love doing this. I love doing whatever I do in the community, that I serve up here and on social media and everything. I love doing it because I like to hear other people's stories. I like to hear their, how they overcame things, because we hear in society the bad things, right? You read in the news, man gets a DUI in the midst of killing 3 people. You hear this person overdosed on fentanyl. You hear all the bad shit, but you don't hear the victories. And you're a victory, man.
Hey, you are too, man. And now, uh, thank, thanks for all the support. And man, I really enjoy this podcast. This was probably one of the best speaker meetings that I've probably been in. You know,
Oh, I'm glad. I'm glad that you had fun. I did too.
thank you for this opportunity. I am I am hoping that this praying that your podcast grows, man, and it reaches not thousands, millions. You know,
Well, got to start somewhere, right?
you do.
All right. Thank you, Andrew. And thank you, everybody, for watching and hanging out with us for this hour. I do appreciate you guys. Um, is there anything you want to say before we shut down, Andrew?
Yeah, if you use, you lose.
If you drink, you stink.
Yeah. Thank you for all the support, everybody. Thank you for being with me in my journey.
Absolutely. And thank you for allowing me to be a part of your journey.
Thank you for being a part of my love, brother.
All right. Much love. Love you guys. And till next time, I'll see you guys later. Bye.
All right, later, brother.